Welcome to If They Won't Listen's episode 44. What's going on? How you doing, Mike?
I am not doing too bad.
Nice. What's going on, Leon?
Man, every day, loving it. Just doing so good. I'm glad to be back here on If They Won't Listen, a Mulan fan cast. You know how it is. We're a fan cast. We're going to be doing the voice of Mushu Mulan.
Chris Rock.
Pull off Eddie Murphy's voice, I'll be impressed.
Right?
I cannot do Eddie Murphy's voice. I could do a Christopher Walken if you want.
I can't do either of those. Oh man, how's things been, Mike? It's been a while since we spoke. Anything?
It has. It's been a while. It's let's see. I jumped on you guys at the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
End of last year. I don't know. It's been seems like a lifetime, but things progressing. Just trying to keep my stuff going and having fun.
Absolutely.
Catch me up. I'm a little behind on the mythos of Mike.
Sorry, I have to move my kid's camera because it's just bothering me that it's on the wrong side.
All good. Yeah. Fill Leon in. I don't believe he was. I think we had different co-hosts back when you were on, anyways. But
yeah, I'm new.
I'm new.
I'm not in the meta yet, but I am in the meta.
So my spiel is I run a podcast called Adding Context. We're just starting to come back from a hiatus that went a little longer than we had planned, but things are moving and yeah.
All right.
Short and sweet to the point.
That was groovy. That was good.
Killer. Leon, what about you? How's things with the wife and work and how's everything going?
Wife is doing really well. She's beautiful as ever. And then of course the other day, actually, yesterday she got a whole thing of henna. So now she dyed her hair this almost burgundy color, and it looks really good. She's very happy with it. She's like, my hair, it's look at it, it's red. And I go, yeah, it is. Look at that. It's dark indoors, and then it's red when the light hits it. When the sunlight hits it, it's really. I like it on her, and she likes it. So there you go. And then I'm working on the things over here, man. Working on on the short novel. Still proofreading that. I'm up to 2,000 words a day, so I'll be done with it pretty soon.
Wow, that's a short novel.
I think the term is novella. And that's it. I think that the range that most people agree on is anything over 8,000 words to 55,000 words is considered a novella, also known as a short novel. And then anything above that is a novel. And I think mine is 32,000 words at this point. So yeah, it's a short novel. Yeah, you don't think that's short?
No, I thought novellas were. I thought they classified that by page number, like something.
Yeah, you could. You could, like, if it's 110 pages, you can consider that like a novella. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, that's what it ends up being after you do, you shorten it down, you make your margins, etc. Yeah.
Find the right font.
The right font every day is Verdana or Helvetica, okay? Not this Times New Roman. And then for whoever came up with Calibri for Windows 2, for freaking Microsoft 2000, should be shot because that is literally the worst font in the world.
I agree. I can't disagree with that.
Now, just on the topic of fonts, before we move on and talk about why I'm so sexy, I just want to mention that like everyone downs on Comic Sans, but Comic Sans is the easiest font to read.
I love Schoolhouse,
even for dyslexic people. I'm just saying.
I'm always a Times New Roman guy.
That tells me you're a basic bitch. No offense, Ricky, man, you're my boy, but
you're fired.
That's a basic bitch move, man. You might as well have told me you like fucking mochachinos from Starbucks.
Dude, I've only been to I can count the amount of times on one hand I've been to Starbucks.
And the last few years I can too. I used to be adamant about going to Starbucks a lot. Now I haven't been to like a Starbucks like a lot in years.
I mean, in general, like
I know what you meant. I know what you meant. It's terrible coffee. Every time someone
It's
offers me
not even
Starbucks,
that. It's just expensive. Like it's the
expensive,
price of a Five
terrible
Guys
coffee.
cheeseburger for a drink.
I'm just Oh, hey,
Dang.
no,
I don't know if-
that's a better deal for your $5.
I don't know if you guys have heard of Wawa.
Yes,
but
I have.
Wawa has the best coffee, period.
Okay.
And
I don't
it's
disagree with that. I
$2.
actually was preferring Wawa's over Starbucks for a long time. When we got Wawa's down here in Florida, because I know it was more of a PA thing, Pennsylvania.
Jersey.
And then we got them down here. And then I learned, because I always thought they was always gas stations until someone from PA said, no. They were deli first. And then the guy said, you know what would be cool while people are waiting for their food? Pump their gas.
Yeah, run in and get your coffee while you're waiting for your tank to be filled.
Right? Exactly. The guy's a genius.
Yeah, that whole pumping your gas thing, I've only had it done like twice, and it blows your violation of expectation thing when you don't expect it. You pull up and you go to get out and pump your gas, and they're like, no, get back in your car. And you're like,
Wait, people pump your gas? Wait, where? In Vermont?
no. Like, I mean, it's happened in
Jersey.
Massachusetts. There's a few spots in Massachusetts. You'd pull up, and there'd be a guy at the pump, and then he'd ask what type you want and how much you want, and he'd take your payment, and like. It was almost like tip inclined. It was weird, but like you didn't get out of your car. He pumped your gas. You popped your gas cap. He pumped it. You paid him. You sat in your car and tweeted.
Jersey, you're
people
not supposed to pump your own gas. Not supposed to, but I do because I used to pump gas for a living when I was a kid. So I also don't like people touching my gas.
The ropes. You know the ropes.
That's got to be the
Plus,
best job.
Plus, I don't trust anybody. I don't carry cash on me, and I don't want to trust somebody with my credit card. Like, yo, here, take my credit card, homie. What's your zip code? 3. Nice try, asshole.
Stealing
try,
my stuff.
Derek.
Oh man. So there's this guy who I came into relative awareness of.
Biden?
No, so it's a person who I fucking work with, but they're like a super Trump Jesus lover.
Oh,
and
you've talked about this guy
like,
before.
dude. I might have. I don't know.
You have.
I worked next to him on
what did
two
he do this
stations
time?
dude, I worked next to him at 2 stations at work, and
didn't he go on about lizard people one time and how Jesus was gonna?
It was like
Jesus and Trump would save us.
4 hours, bro. I argued with this guy, and like not argued, like I let him say his statement, and then I'd respond in a "I'm gonna pump you up" way, and I was getting 100%, which meant I was making like $24 an hour, $23 an hour, doing amazing on piecework in the factory, and he was so pumped up. He wasn't working at all. He was just talking to me, and bro, he's like, dude, Trump's gonna save the world, and Biden's gonna kill us all, and China's gonna invade America.
Wait, those are contradicting.
Jesus is the savior. We need Jesus, and like, bro, it was just like there was so many points, and I can't get over all of them. But
the
like
hypocrisy.
Those are contradicting statements. That's like the Poison Ivy plot line plus, you know, Mr. Freeze plotline from Batman and Robin, where they have contradicting goals and it doesn't make sense for them
but
to
they
work
still
together.
work together.
But they still work together. So how can Trump save us all, but then at the same time Biden's gonna kill us all? Those two things, they don't, you know, like they don't mesh. You see how my fingers are not linking? Because they don't mesh. That shit don't make sense, son.
I have to agree with that statement, but
no, I can't
rationality
sympathize
does not
with what he says.
wrong with them.
But he says I'm crazy, and he's like, you know, you need to learn, and I'm like, I believe in science. Like I listen to scientists, bro. You know what I mean? And he's like, I actually met a guy, one of the mentors at my job, who doesn't know who Joe Rogan is.
Okay.
Like I was like, I listen to Joe Rogan every day.
He's the guy that destroyed the Man Show.
He's like, who's Joe Rogan? And I'm like, what? Like I don't know how to respond to that. Like, so you don't watch MMA, copy, pussy. You don't watch Fear Factor. Okay. You were probably in the woods, whatever, country guy. And you know what I mean? And you don't like listen to the biggest show in all of the world, period. Okay. But like, it's so hard to like be subtly saying, oh, I believe what I believe because I listen to a professional who it's his career of 30 years to know what he knows, come on Rogan and speak his shit about what he studied for 30 years for 3 hours.
To
So
quote Trump.
yeah,
Wrong.
you know what I mean? I'm going off that. And he's like, I don't know who that is. And it's like, it's so lost in me. I don't know how to, like, I'm shaking inside. Like, I don't know how to respond to him and be like, well, this is like the most influential, biggest show, bigger than any news network that's ever existed show, period.
He's had followers, and I think his podcast has been going on for what?
No, 10 years, bro.
I was gonna say 10, more than 10 years.
He started
now,
a
right?
long fucking time ago when other people were
still
like, no
going.
one's listening to you for 3 hours. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
And that's,
I don't listen to, personally, I don't listen to Joe Rogan. I'm not that I'm clowning on him or anything. I just don't listen to him. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't
I haven't listened to him since he's gone to Spotify. I've from what I've seen.
Oh, that's right.
heard,
He's exclusive now on there, right?
Yeah, the quality. He's kind of just gotten different, and the quality isn't what it was when he was on iTunes.
I still love it. Honestly, I've noticed no difference, but I'm super biased. I mean, I've listened to every single episode he's ever made. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for a very long time. I loved him on Fear Factor. I loved him on, you know what I mean, coaching MMA and being a commentator. Yeah, you know, I just respect the guy. And more than that, like, I've learned how to take care of myself in a nutritional sense from professionals who are studying the body on a meta level. Like people who are like, so your history books say this, we're studying the science that's past that. And they talk to him because they know it'll be 10 years till the books are wrote. But if people start doing this now, in 10 years, when this is what the new history book says for medicine or for philosophy or for whatever subject it may be, they're the people telling you, like, this is how things are. You're entitled to believe what you want, but so to anyone, it's so hard to describe it in a third person narrative, but basically it's just people talking about cutting edge science and a lot of fucking MMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why not?
It's melding of the minds, you know. I don't know.
It's a meeting place. It's a meeting place of it's the meeting grounds where one can. Dude, I found
out about so much. Do you guys know about the plastic pollution that we have?
Oh yeah.
Like if you take milk out of another, okay, no plastic pollution, and you put it in a metal bucket, and then you take that metal bucket and you filter it with a 6-inch plastic hose. In only that 6 inches, there's a detectable, actual readable number of plastic particles in the milk from it only being filtered through a 6-inch hose.
So yeah, actually, I thought you were going more with the Seaspiracy thing, that the majority of sea pollution, like ocean pollution, plastics, isn't from garbage from us and from normal people. It's from the commercial fishing industry. It's their nets and all their trash or whatnot.
Now that I never heard of.
Watch Seaspiracy on Netflix. I'll never eat seafood again.
Oh shit! Yeah. I just finished eating shrimp. Where were you, Mike?
The commercial fishing industry. It's truly, obviously the narrative for this is slanted to a certain degree, but from what I picked up on it, it seems pretty accurate and factual. And yeah, I was never a big fan of fish to begin with, but the nonsense that goes on, like people in Thailand go missing when they start to kind of expose things. They go missing when they go out to the boat. So yeah, it's a good hour and a half to watch, and it's pretty eye-opening.
Interesting.
No, that sounds interesting. I mean, I love fish, and frankly, I'm gonna eat it no matter what. Like 75% plus of the world is water. I don't give a fuck what you think. Like, minus the mercury, it's the most sustainable food.
But it's not, and that's the point that the whole Seaspiracy was about, is the overfishing that goes on and the damage done to the environments, like the coral reefs and stuff like that, is actually being decimated because of commercial fishing and because of the overfishing. It's just screwing up the entire ecosystem.
Oh, I'm sure, but still, like you know what I mean? All of the world's land that we can walk on is like a fifth of what you can swim on. So, like, you know, no matter how much you fish, I mean, I don't know. How long have we had freightliners who fished commercially? It has to be like 150 years. Like, it can't be too long.
probably about 100 years, but that's what they're showing is over like that last 30 50 years where it's just gotten insane.
Yeah. No, that sounds interesting to watch for
The
sure.
food industry is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Fucked.
Yeah. I like that word. It's a good word. And it's appropriate.
Yeah, you had all these documentaries come out over the last decade and a half, if no, even more than that, right? Food Incorporated, Super Size Me. I mean, that was mostly about McDonald's, but it was supposed to be, I mean, the food industry is, people talk about lizard people, fucking Martians and shit, but we don't, and then big pharma, but we don't really always talk about the the food industry. It's like person that controls your food controls the world. That's your food, son.
There's a lot of people that are in positions of, we'll call it, power and influence that are a little less scrupulous than those that should be in that kind of position.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. You got cats in seats that are just with just this much power to save maybe that much money. They go, oh, we can save $100,000. All right, cool.
And not looking at the long-term impacts that happen.
And like, all right, I get to save $100,000. Fuck
the
you.
land of unintended consequences is it's a very vast place that is often overlooked.
That is difficult though, like philosophically. Like if you understand the parameters of your own mortality and you know that you're going to die, and we're the only species on the planet that's aware of its own existential impending doom, which is kind of fucked. But like moving past that, to what degree are we required to care about our fellow people? Like I may be inclined to care about Leon more than another person due to my affiliation with him. And of course his gorgeousness, according to his response. But like literally when it comes to strangers, I'll often say this as a knee-jerk response if someone responds to me in like you don't care about people enough way, and it's like, do I need to think about you when I brush my teeth? It's like no, I don't at all. And there's a million things I do where I never have to think of you or your mom or your uncle or anyone tangentially related to them. Infinity. You know what I mean? Like, all right, it's so hard to
totally fair.
Yeah, it's just it's so like I wonder about that myself. Like, you know what I mean? I when I was a teenager, littered out of my car a lot. I would just throw shit out of my window, and now my car is full of trash, and I clean it out on a scheduled basis, but I don't litter. And so it's like I weigh the understanding of like this is my shit. I shouldn't be just willy-nilly throwing it out my window. That's irresponsible.
Right.
So like I weigh that understanding, and I don't know if that has to do with a care for the planet or something like that, but it just comes down to my own self-respect. Like, this is your shit out of this whole world, your shit. So keep your shit with your shit until you throw it away.
I for one, am not trying to go out and hug a random stranger, but I always think like a good act of kindness or even a simple compliment to someone for doing the right thing or just doing something that should be, you just validate it. I don't see anything wrong with that. It was, I will tell you that it was very weird for me for a while when I moved from South Florida to here, that when someone came up to me and said, "Hey, good morning," I looked at them going, "The fuck is your problem?" And then I realized people were just being nice.
I think there's this a level of common courtesy that we should all have towards our fellow person.
Yeah.
Because just, somebody walking up to you randomly and saying, "Hey, good morning," it could vastly alter your whole day. Just that random act of kindness. I mean, perfect example today is I struck up a conversation with some lady who was making her coffee when I was making mine today at Wawa.
Wawa.
And
eat fresh.
As I was checking out, I paid for her coffee just because, it was a fun thing to do. I'm all about doing things that are going to hopefully put a smile on somebody's face and just being nice to people. It doesn't take anything for me to be nice to somebody. To me, it takes more energy to be an asshole to somebody than it is to be nice. And I think more people, there's too many people out there that are self-concerned with how everything impacts them, even when it's vastly separated from their reality, has nothing to do with them in any way, shape, or form. They'll go out of their way to bring it into their world unnecessarily, just so they can have something to complain and bitch about. To me, it's just waste of energy and time and space.
It's like, but it's like, it's a good example of this is last Sunday for me. I'm with my in-laws, and this random older gentleman comes up, asks if anyone was good with technology, and he just needed help to get his plane ticket so he can go to Dublin to visit his sister, who was, I believe, recently diagnosed with cancer. I think that's how he phrased it. Either way, the sister has cancer, and that's why he has to fly to Dublin for the next 3 months to be with his sister. And he was just having all this trouble, and he came up to my table just out of nowhere, and I said, I'll be more than happy to help you out, and I did. And then it was a lot of, at one point, the Safari form, the form on Safari to enter his credit card information for the website was just not working. Just something that was not communicating with Safari. And then his PNC bank got in the way. And then eventually the airline said that he was red filed. And then I asked him straight out, I looked at him and I go, be real with me. When did you come to America? He says the 60s. And I looked at him and I went, is there a chance that you may have been part of a militia that opposed Queen's rule? And he looked at me and he goes, and he laughed. And I go, it's fine. I'm pretty sure that joke was true, though. But it didn't really take much just to,
Right.
I could have told this guy, nah, I'm good, bro. But, just to be a little nice. I want to put a little bit more kindness in the world. Just a little bit.
Leave the world in a better place than it is. It's kind of what I got trying to teach my kids. Small act of kindness goes a long way.
Yeah. You don't need to hug a stranger, Ricky, or listen to your crazy big Trump supporting lizard freaking Illumina hat wearing guy. You don't need to hug him at any point. I'm saying
tinfoil antennas.
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know, listen to him and just go, you're right, Bob. Just fucking move on with your day and let him not do work and eventually get fired. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird concept to be aware of everything, like the world itself. Whenever I get anxious, I just think about like, oh yeah, there's a giant meteor floating around our planet that we call the moon, and people think it controls the water, but we're really just dipping like in and out of this like solar gravity pocket that's pulling us, and that's why our water moves, and it just kind of works parallel to the moon. And it's super, like the world and astronomy and the galaxy and space makes me just, it shocks me in awe enough to not care about like anything else. I'm like,
no, I totally get that,
but
especially because of how scary space can be. The fact that our solar system, which is one of many solar systems in our galaxy, happens to be in the slap dab middle of it all, is a small black hole.
But are we really in the middle?
No, we're not in the middle. I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying we're in the middle. If I said something wrong, I'm sorry. What I meant to say, slap dab in the middle of the Milky Way galaxy is a supermassive black hole.
Right.
And we just happen to just be somewhere on the outside of that.
I'm a firm believer that there's definitely some sort of alien life, intelligent alien life out there. I don't know if we'll ever interact with it. They could be eons behind us. They could be eons ahead of us. They could look at us and go, we're staying the fuck away from that. I think it's completely ignorant to think that there's not intelligent life somewhere in that vastness. Especially
in when you really look into the observable universe, you definitely have to know that we're not the only and I mean, that's a really sad thing to think that we're just alone in this entire. It's just arrogant. It's sad. Just why the solemnity of it all? I say there's got to be some sort of intelligent life out there. The fact that what is it? The Pentagon came out when there was like that pyramid ship that they the Navy filmed, and they just went, yeah, it's real, no questions, bye. Went, wait, what? Hold on, son. I got more questions.
You spent 60 years denying all that. Now all of a sudden,
now you're saying it's real footage? Like, hold up.
Yeah, no,
you're
that's
saying
just
that
crazy.
Authenticity is there?
I don't know what to do with that either. Yeah, they claim they're not, saying that things aren't real anymore and they're not feigning ignorance. They're like, yeah, you know. But think about being someone on Rogan put it in a really funny way. Think about being a Navy pilot and flying a jet, seeing an alien. You gonna tell your boss about it? No, he's not gonna let you fly your $4 million jet anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? You shut the fuck up and you go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Go back to bed, Tom.
You're not gonna pass the psyche eval. Yo, did you see the aliens? Nope, I didn't. I was eating a granola bar, fucking flying my F-18. Didn't see.
I was inverted.
Shit.
See you later, Steven. I'm just gonna keep eating this granola bar now. Thank you very much. I
Didn't
see no
shit.
aliens. I'll tell you that much, sir. Okay. I don't know why he sounds like that, but that's how he sounded in my head.
I don't know. The ocean alien theory is the most plausible. Like the majority of the planet is ocean. Like you could build a city 5 times bigger than Chicago in less than 1% of the planet, and we would never know. Like never know. A mile beneath the water, fucking 100 feet beneath the water. You're still not gonna notice. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just incomprehensible. It's so crazy.
I've often pondered what would be more interesting to explore: the vastness of space or the depths of the ocean.
Yeah, someone was asking that the other day, and I think we should. It's really tough. I mean, I like space for a number of reasons, but then you're right. What's in the ocean? Okay, James Cameron can only go so deep in the Mariana Trench.
Yeah.
All right.
Need to work on the technology to withstand that pressure and really illuminate to see things. I saw a picture of a video of some massive shark sitting at like.
That's an old video. That's from 2006, man. That's an old one. I know what you're talking about. Where it's just sitting there, and then it just kind of goes and it wiggles a little bit, almost shaking, and it's this massive huge bitch,
hills and whatnot. But it's sitting down at 3,300 feet. That's an insane amount of pressure.
Oh yeah, and it's nothing to them.
Yeah,
I mean the fact that an angler fish, the one with the lights with that gnarly looking mouth, that thing is thousands and thousands of miles down on the ocean floor, and that thing is as big as maybe this My Little Pony doll. This is not mine.
It's all the pressure keeping it small.
Thousands and thousands of feet. It's like 10 miles. But yeah, no,
it's a crazy thing. What would you explore, Ricky?
I don't know. I think one of those questions is answerable. Like in the next 1,000 years, we could explore all of the ocean, but in the next 1,000,000 years, we couldn't explore all of space.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? That's interesting.
Funny thing, we're talking about space, and I was just reading this article earlier today, just like randomly doing a search. So one, I don't know if you knew this, but they've been talking about this for a while, but they're going to replace the Hubble Telescope. I don't know if you knew that.
With what?
A new one called the James Webb Telescope. It's going to go up, according to this article, in October of this year.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to go last year.
Yeah, it was supposed to go up last year, but COVID and President Trump and shit. Star Force,
Space
President
Force.
Trump. Yeah, he was starting up the Starfleet Academy, something like that. I don't know. And then, but so already, what they're already seeing is that they're going to see a star being born, and they want to get the telescope up in time to catch that, because the Hubble telescope won't be able to see it fully or clearly. So they're going to get this new telescope to see that, called a cosmic dawn. And you can never see anything like that in 100 million years. So hopefully we'll have a recording of that to watch, man, because that's going to be dope. It may not be that exciting, but that's really freaking cool, man.
Last year, they also posted it was the first, some insane amount of images that it took to get it. But what was the picture? I think it was the first.
The black hole? Are you talking about that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that last year? I thought that was
year before.
That was like 2 years ago. It might have been the year before, because I remember people were just memeing it for a while. All the guys at NASA doing it, and then it was like turns into like a guy's like face going, "What up, dog?" We get to finally see it.
It's amazing how far technology has gone, and how far things have advanced, how quickly things have advanced over the last 20, 30 years.
You want to think about think about something really mind blowing. Think about the first time a manned flight happened in Kitty Hawk, right, with the Wright brothers. Now think about that time. all the way to the first point we launched someone up into space.
It was
And
what,
I mean,
50 years, 60 years.
yeah, 50. Yeah, it's like 50, 60 years. So that's insane. Actually, the first time we ever launched a living being into space was, I think it was in the late 50s, and it was a dog that they
Right.
just the Russians just picked up off the street. They said, "Yep, that's
throw
the
it up there, see
pilot
what it
right
is.
there," and it didn't.
It's not like you could have said
It
no.
Imagine
Right?
how that dog was on the flight up, because it had to. How did the buckling work? If it was by itself, was it buckled the whole trip, or did
I
they
don't know
leave
if
it
it was-
unbuckled the whole trip? Because
I
it
think it was-
couldn't have unbuckled itself.
I don't
That's
think
the
they had
crazy
a
thing,
leash
man.
release.
They might have had a button. They released the dog, but
Who knows? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's something written up about it, but I don't know about. I never really got into the whole history of Laika to
Russian space
really,
program.
yeah, about the cosmonaut space program, the CCCP space program.
Then you had Yuri, who was the first human, and I mean, he balls of steel to do that.
Oh yeah, and don't forget his first words in the and when he broke the atmosphere.
Which were
Do you have it on there?
I had no idea.
He said, I don't see God. Where's God?"
it's a valid question.
he was legitimately asking, "Where's God?"
I'm a huge fan of science, and one of the guys that I spoke to for my show was Stanley Plotkin, who was a virologist, and we were talking about the recent vaccine for COVID and all that, and how quickly it came together. I kind of acknowledged that I wasn't surprised that it took less than a year to get that going, and he agreed. He said with the amount of information that they already had and the speed at which they can replicate and do this stuff, as opposed to the old way of doing vaccines, which he is responsible for the MMR vaccine. It wasn't a matter of waiting for things to be done. If they could do things to expedite and speed things up to get all that data that they need to formulate it. And he wasn't surprised at all that they were able to get it done in less than a year.
Okay. Fair enough.
Plus new technology. It's, it's the mRNA stuff as opposed to the other old
technology development is very much an exponential. It's very much an exponential life. It really is. When you look at your own computer, I remember back in 1996 having 786 megabytes was a lot.
I remember having to pay like $250 for a 10 gig hard drive. And now you can get, a terabyte on a thumb drive for $30.
50. Yeah. Right. For like $30. I mean, I got an SD card. I got a 256 SD card. I got that for like $20, and then I loaded up so many games on that bitch. I just put it right into my laptop, because you know what? Fuck you, Call of Duty. I'm not going to put 120 gigabytes on my goddamn hard drive. What is that, man? Why are video games so damn big? I don't know. I'm not going to go on a tangent. I'm not. I'm going to keep this. We're talking about space and vaccines right now. Okay? Space and vaccines and vaccines.
Yeah, so Mike,
space.
where are you at with
we're taking them out of aliens?
Where are you at with COVID? Like, are you not to say you're anti-vax, but like, where's your opinion of the vaccine? Completely efficacious, a lot of efficacy and safe, or sketchy as fuck and weary.
I am so pro-vax. I was vaccinated before the end of last year. I got my first shot December 30th, and then it's first shot, wait 4 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that you're vaccinated. I was fully vaccinated by the middle of February.
All right.
Part of that is because I ride on an ambulance, so I'm in a very precarious position of being exposed, even with all the precautions we take. But as soon as I heard it was out, and I did my own little bit of research that I could. Quite honestly, talking to the guy that I spoke to was solidified me in getting the shot. My kids are vaccinated. My wife's vaccinated. I follow the science. It's just that simple.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I personally, I'm not. I don't see myself getting it anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm
And
in the
it's
same
just-
boat. I
yeah.
understand the science too, and like I understand the immune boost. Like I'm not anti the conception as far as what they're doing, but I am weary of the logistics of like, normally the turnaround is 36 months for a vaccine. They did this in 16 to 12. And so it's
Right.
like when you think about that, like, no, I don't think there's planned obsolescence involved, but
Well,
accidental obsolescence is something I can be unassured of.
right. I think part of the thing that some people don't realize is COVID, like a COVID, or not COVID-19, but a coronavirus isn't a new thing for them. They have tons of information on coronaviruses. This just happened to be the 19th variation. So they had 18 variations to kind of look at and get some information from. And yeah, there was a short amount of time of what it was. Initially came out as a respiratory thing, and then it turned into a viral thing, vascular issues. But they had so much information. And again, with the new technology of how they can speed things and replicate things up much faster than they could have in the past, to me, the science checked out that it was valid. And I was fortunate enough I didn't have any side effects. I literally had a little bit of a sore arm, and that was it.
Also tough.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would get in danger to get it, nor do I think I'm in danger without it though. Like, you know what I mean? At 26 years old, I don't think like, I think I already had it to begin with, but like outside of that, I don't think I have much to worry about. Like, and I wasn't worried about my 3-year-old getting it either. Like, that wasn't a fear to me. I wasn't worried about her, but you live and you learn. Like the I told you so moment would be worse, but there, 3 months ago, I remember someone telling me, "Oh no, this could go forever," and then on the same day, someone told me, "No, just give it a month, and it will be 10% less, and then a month, and it'll be 10% less, and a month, and it'll be 50% less." Now you're supposed to be wearing masks at work. In general, walking around, not a single fucking person does.
Yeah, but at work in an environment like that, you've kind of established kind of a quasi pod. You're around those people all the time. I can see why people would not feel the need to wear a mask in that situation, because you're around them all the time, and as long as you're not doing too much craziness outside of work, it's kind of almost the same thing as being at home with the amount of time you spend there.
It's a business of like 500 or 600 people, so like you can come in contact with people who are in totally different. Like there's some people who drive an hour to work, like they live in a totally different ecosystem than someone who lives in the town the job is.
Right.
And outside of that, it's just like, it's weird. Like there's been a diametric opposite, to 6 months ago to now. And I could care less at this point. I mean, not to say it's over, but like, it doesn't feel as surreal now. I had family members die in the first 6 months. I haven't heard of someone I know dying since. So, right. I don't know if it was a super, like super bad in the beginning and now it's tapered off, or how that works, or what the graph is like, but
we're at last time I just literally just checked the statistics, and it was at 619,000 deaths, and 28.9 people have recovered. Million people have recovered from it.
Wow.
I mean, people are going to have their own opinions based on their situations, their experience with it. The problem I had with how things went down last year is the fact that wearing a mask was politicized, and the virus in of itself was politicized.
Really was. It really was.
No reason for that. Those are things that, in my opinion,
why are you going to the park? Yeah. Why are you going to the park? The government said, all right, it's a shutdown. Let's get this thing under control. And you got people trying to go to the park because they didn't go home for like another 3 months. Yeah, people just making it worse. It was so dumb. And even like when you really look back on the year 2020, which people really wanted it to be a good year, and it just did not happen that way.
One of the funny things I thought was, the anti-maskers were complaining about the infringements of the rights and how it's not right for them and all that.
Dumb.
But things would have gone back to kind of where they are now quicker if they would have just shut up and put a mask on for a little bit.
Yeah.
For what? An hour to do to go grocery shopping.
Right.
How long do you think you're gonna hang out at Walmart? Come on, guy.
I don't know about you, but
I'm
Me?
so happy not to wear one though. I don't wear
Can't
one
get out of
anywhere
Walmart
anymore.
fast enough.
Like grocery stores, gas stations. There's no place that every place says vaccinated wear, doesn't have to wear it. Unvaccinated doesn't. And I'm not vaccinated, but like I'm at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm in Florida. We haven't.
It ended for you a year ago.
No,
never even started for you guys.
We had a bit of a lockdown, kind of. I mean,
Kind of.
restaurants and bars were closed for months, man, and then at some point it became 25% capacity. Then it went up to 50% capacity at one point. I think in May went up to 50%, and then 75% by October, and then. Just a couple months ago, now everything is open again, and then of course Governor DeSantis says by I think it was like July 15th, like you really can't. No more cities can push the mask at their own discretion, but businesses still can if they want to. I had to really stress that to a lot of people at work. I go, look, businesses can still push it.
Yeah,
they can. And then it's like Mike was saying, you have these anti-maskers that were coming in saying it's infringing on the rights. You see these videos of people who are just going into stores and going, no, this is public property. No, bitch, this is Walmart. Someone owns this. This is private property. They just happen to sell goods.
To the public.
Just because the place provides the goods, to the public doesn't mean it's public property. All right, the government doesn't own it for the city. Okay, some big business conglomerate owns it.
Yeah, you could be banned from them. I mean, when I used to be a police officer, we'd arrest people, and part of the note that they would get when we arrested them was, by the way, you can't step foot on this property anymore. So yeah, it's that. The other thing I would throw at people when they would say it's an infringement on my right is, well, actually it's not, and there's federal case law that says otherwise. And they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? Check 1906 Massachusetts versus Jacobson, and it states that
classic Jacobson.
It states that the federal government can mandate you to wear a mask if it's for the greater health of the greater good. So I said that at them, and they're like, whatever, and they'll walk away.
Trapped. Yeah. You got him. Got him. Got him.
It's been weird. Everything this whole year.
Weird.
Don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't know where things are going, but there's a lot of people who think there's going to be a civil war, like a lot.
Well, there's a lot of people who still think that Trump is going to be automatically given back his place as president.
Yeah, some people think he'll be able to take away the 2-term presidency limit, and he'll stay president forever.
Well, there's people that think that he still is president, which is mine.
Yeah, I know. For real.
Yeah,
Mike Pence is a traitor.
He gets introduced at rallies as Mr. President, and it's like, I guess loosely that could be a thing. Mr. President, like that. Okay, cool. That's chill. But it wasn't loosely Mr. President. It was like, you're Mr. President. It was like, I don't know if you can say that.
If I can play devil's advocate for a second, I mean, a lot of former presidents still get called Mr. President.
Right.
I mean,
it's a title for life.
Yeah, it is. It really, you just don't happen to be the current president, but a lot of people will still refer to you if you were a president, even if it was for one term. They'll still call you Mr. President afterwards.
But okay. Well, I guess it's just the stigma of what's going on then, because as they go,
it was the inflection that was used, right?
As they invite him on as Mr. President, he then shits on Biden and says how great of a job he'll do, and that he got he's still saying that the entire election's a sham and he won.
Didn't Mike Pence? Didn't the vice president also, gauge the ruling of the authenticity of the votes that came in, though?
And that's the problem, is all these investigations that were supposed to be, like the Arizona is a perfect example. In Georgia, 3 times they counted in Georgia, and it all came up with the same thing. And all these accusations of fake ballots and stuff like that against the Democrats, all the stuff that they found were Republicans cheating. So it just kind of blows up in their face.
Well, I think it was really funny though, because back in the 2016 election, prior to prior to the vote, but on the road to the next president, right at that time, down to Clinton and Trump. One of the things that Donald Trump tweeted before he was president was, I think it was like in September or October, one of the two, and he makes this tweet about how the Democrats are going to fake the votes for this election, and he won. That was the year he won. This wasn't the first time he accuses of fake votes going out.
Well, he
said it before, so that's why I was like, all right.
When he said going into, I guess it was 2 or 3 months before the most recent election, he flat out set it up saying the only way we can lose this is if they steal the election. So he started that narrative well in advance. He knew that that's the angle he was going to go, because he knew that he was going to lose. And
that could be.
I'm just a big fan of people that are in positions of authority where people are going to listen to what they say. They have this responsibility to be honest. I obviously understand that's a utopian thought process, but whether you're
ideal
athlete,
world,
whether you're an athlete, a politician, an actor, anybody that has influence when they speak, you have a responsibility to speak honestly, and he's just completely shit all over that.
Yeah,
everything that comes out of his mouth is just that shit.
Granted, I don't always 100% buy his bullshit, but the man, you got to hand it to him. He believes it. I don't think he's being told. I think he 100% believes everything he says.
And
and that to him is the truth.
That's psychosis right there.
Yeah, that's definitely something.
Psychosis is delusion by psychosis.
Yeah, delusions of grandeur. I mean, one of the articles I read leading up to the election was a study. They polled like 900 psychologists and psychiatrists, and they all agreed that he fits in like these 3 main categories of someone who's certifiably insane, and people still loved him. It's just it boggled my brain.
Yeah, no, I've never seen anyone have such a cult following ever. And I said that to a crazy guy at my work that, like, you know what I mean? The Capitol only kind of got invaded because Trump opened his mouth. And he was like, he told them to peacefully do stuff. And I was like, no president should be telling mobs of people to do or not do anything. Right. There shouldn't be a thing, The
whole narrative with the insurrection's aggravating too.
It's fucking crazy. I don't know what to do. I politically don't give a fuck, but I'm as far from politically educated as you could be, and I'm aware there's a problem everywhere. Like the Socrates, or Plato's writing of Socrates depicts Socrates saying that our straight out democracy / any form of that, because we're not like a straight democracy. We have a few like tweaks of an oligarchy and other things in us.
We're a queer democracy.
Yeah, we're a little twisted, rainbow democracy, but. It's like it was destined to not work 25 centuries ago if he existed, because that's when he supposedly allegedly wrote these things in 500 BC or whatever, and it's like, what the fuck, he predicted this wouldn't work before phones existed. You know what I mean? It's like, so the fact that we're still arguing now and wondering why the left doesn't like the right, and the middle doesn't like the side, and the side doesn't like the middle. It's like, I've understood that since I was a kid. Politics is fucked, and politicians are good at lying, and it's like, moving on. Yeah. I don't know what to do with it.
I think it's really funny that I come from a background where I don't talk about who I vote for, right, ever. I'll talk about where I stand on certain issues. For one, I'm not 100% for fossil fuels. I wanted to switch to an alternative, sustainable source, and I talked about this on the last episode. Something that's a little bit more sustainable, that's better for the environment. I truly believe that. Okay, and then other, like, I do believe that we have to protect our environment, and I do believe how the way we should handle our police. Because my dad was a cop as well, but there are cops that are corrupt and that are assholes. My dad will tell you the way that cop handled the George Floyd situation. He will tell you that wasn't the proper way to do that at all. That was fucked.
Like, I can't even I have family as law enforcement, and I can't fully I can't speculate on the time of which something like that happened, but like the guy shouldn't have deserved to die. You know what I mean? Like no one deserves
yeah,
to
for real.
die by
I think
that.
it is.
And
If he was being arrested, he could be arrested. I don't doubt that at all. But you're right. The amount of force that was excessive.
because that crazy Jesus guy said the same thing. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike, but he said the same thing. He was like, and in a much more serious way, he was like, fuck George Floyd. That guy deserved to die. No druggy murderer deserves to, you know, whatever. And I was like, what? As far as I know, he wasn't a murderer or a rapist. He just liked to get high. I like to get high. I don't think a cop should kill me.
him. No,
You know
kill
what I
him.
mean? Like,
Yo,
I think
Ricky's a criminal, guys.
it's
He just
super fucked.
admitted
It's
it.
super fucked up, and it's not even a
Admissible.
race thing, like at
Right.
all. It's a race thing because it's a race thing currently. But I mean,
Right.
in the most far back sense, that's not a race thing to me. Like that's an ethical misjudgment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That cop had support. He had other officers. He had other resources. There was other things going on all throughout this time where he could have made a different choice. And
I have
Is this Wilson the right one?
no problem with when officers are trying to get control of somebody and effect their arrest. If you put your knee on someone's back while you're trying to get them cuffed, that's one thing. From my perspective, once he was cuffed and you had a cop sitting on his hips, if you want to hover your knee over his back, that's fine. He goes to get up, he's going to hit your knee. That's different.
Yeah.
But what Derek Chauvin did to me was just a gross miscarriage of his. It was a gross dereliction of his duties. I mean, he completely was in the wrong in every way, shape, and form. I watching that, and watching some of the other incidences that have gone over the last 5-6 years involving police and police brutality. I'm always the one that kind of sits back and says, "Wait till the facts come out. Wait till we can see what's going on."
Always.
But
always.
There's a lot of stuff that you can get from that initial video that goes, "Wow, that's just fucked up and totally in the wrong." And I get aggravated when I see cops have that gross overstep of their jobs, because it is that mentality of, well, if one cop's bad, then they're all bad.
Yeah.
And granted, there's the thing that bothers me with the narrative is there's this raging hypocrisy, in my opinion, where you're going to disparage an entire profession where there's literally millions of interactions a day where nothing goes sideways because of the action of a few people. But you don't do that, and you, for a good reason, you don't do that when it's a person of a color or of a particular race or anything like that. You don't, it's not acceptable, but it's, for some reason, it's now acceptable to do it for cops. I find that hypocrisy a little hard to navigate.
It's a really the narrative that people paint sometimes, that all cops are assholes. You end up generalizing a few good men,
right,
out of a handful of assholes, and then you're sitting there, you're calling every cop out there a killer, and that's not always the case. All right, cops are just trying to do their job. The word police comes from the word policy. They're there to enforce policies. Okay, when you rob a store, they're enforcing the policy that you don't rob stores. It's as simple as that. Okay, yeah. And you're right. When that initial video comes out, it paints that narrative immediately. Like the gentleman where people were fighting when people were riding on the streets for this other guy who died later on that year. But then it came out that he just shot himself in the head. He was being chased by the cops. He got into a corner. He didn't want to face it. So he just took his own life. And then cops got blamed for that.
Right. And that's the other thing, is you only get one side from that initial thing, and the media doesn't help because they're going to paint it to slant something. I long for the days where you can turn on the news and it's, hey, here are the facts as we know them. Make your own conclusions. The narrative of news just kills things because it creates there's already this adversarial relationship between law enforcement and the general public. And there's all these misconceptions, and it just further compounds that. I think if we can get away from that and look at each incident as its individual incident and the people involved, we might make a little headway and get along a little better.
And to further on that point, the news is, you're right, it polarizes and it creates adversaries among, not just between the people and the police, but between the right and the left,
right,
everything. And all they do is they sit there and they act. They're a very unknown third party, and no one really sees that sometimes. And they're just, as Ricky has said before in another episode, it's fear porn. I have never watched the news my entire life, right? And even when I did, when someone else had it on, and I would just watch this and go, this is the most depressing thing I've ever seen in my life. It's absolute bullshit.
There's the mentality that if it bleeds, it leads. And that's because when news became about ratings, to me, that was the end of objective news sharing. It all became something has a slant. The fact that you have 3 big stations that immediately it's going to have a right slant to it, and you've got 2 or 3 that immediately it's going to have a left slant to it. I go to my news. I go to the BBC for my news and organizations outside the U.S. because it's a different light that's not influenced by the Democrats or Republicans.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I don't disagree with that. Get your news from New Zealand, from Australia, from the UK, just definitely not from America.
Right. You guys got anything you want to plug for the end of the show in our last few minutes here? We're about an hour mark here. What are you guys doing after the show tonight?
Let's see. I think I'm going to cuddle up with my wife and watch some Netflix, I guess, or some Star Trek. I'll see. We'll see where the night takes me.
It's scary that that's what you say you're doing, because that's precisely what I will be doing. My wife is actually watching. Or did she just start watching Next Generation?
Did you say it's night? Oh, no, Next Generation, nice.
I think she just started watching from the very beginning. We started watching. I think it's Next Generation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the one that my wife is really into. I'm watching Deep Space Nine on my own. She can only take so much. Let me put it this way. You know what I mean? She can only take so much nerd.
I'm gonna be playing. I'm gonna be. I had a guest on my 1v1 part of this podcast invite me to play World of Warcraft, and I was like, hey, man, I don't know. I have other things going on. I can't really do that. And I was like, fuck it, and I bought the account. And I started playing. This shit is insane. Like it's so much harder and more in depth than I thought it could be. And I guess it's just it's what it was meant to be. But I'm wicked wrapped up in that. So I'm gonna be leveling up in World of Warcraft, and I'm kind of fixed on cults right now. So I'm gonna watch a documentary called The Vow, which is about a cult. And it's like this crazy thing. I Googled best cult documentaries, and this is out of 3 out of the 4 top 25 lists. This is number 1 on all 3. And on the 4th, it was still top 5. So I want to watch a few other ones that like Rogan brought up and other guests from his show brought up, but they're not rated number 1 on Google. And so I could care less, but still. Ratings. So I'm just curious to see how it is. And I'm fascinated by that, like one genius guy, and genius in the most, fucking worst way,
Right.
But I don't know. So I'm going to fuck around, do that, have some snacks, hang out, get ready for work tomorrow. Yeah, but no, awesome. Thank you very much for fucking coming on, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. We're figuring things out. We're always in transition here. So we're gonna work on things ever more. And thank you everybody for listening. You got anything you want to plug, Mike or Leon?
Leon?
So got me on the blog. You got me on the blog, stillfoxes.home.blog. That's where I do most of my posts. And then of course I'm still working on the short novel that hopefully gets released by the end of August. Mike?
Thanks. I'll just blow out my my podcast, Adding Context. It's addingcontext.com. Anywhere you consume your podcast, and socials are all Adding Context.
Booyah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Everyone have a good night, and see you later.
Have a good one, man.
Stay loose.